This is Daily Armenia, CivilNet's daily news digest. Here's what you need to know today. As of 2 p.m. today, at least 284 protesters had been detained for taking part in acts of civil disobedience across Yerevan, mostly by blocking streets, as anti-government demonstrators continued to call on Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan to resign over a landmark border delimitation deal reached last month with Azerbaijan. Videos posted to social media appear to show numerous instances of police using disproportionate force to subdue protesters. One video appears to show special services throwing Ashot Simonyan, an opposition lawmaker, to the ground before repeatedly hitting and then detaining him. Armenia's Interior Ministry has said it will investigate that incident. Today's detentions came one day after Galstanyan, a charismatic and outspoken clergyman, was named as the opposition's preferred candidate to replace Pashinyan. Opposition parties in parliament have pledged to table an impeachment vote against Pashinyan, but crucially, they lack the votes to do so. It was not immediately clear how to square Galstanyan's leadership bid with the fact that Armenia's constitution bars dual citizens from serving as prime minister. Galstanyan, who serves as archbishop for Armenia's northeastern Tavush region, also holds a Canadian passport. In a speech yesterday to tens of thousands of protesters gathered on Yerevan's Central Republic Square, Galstanyan urged his supporters to commit more acts of civil disobedience in an effort to paralyze the city. Since last month's border deal, police officers have detained hundreds of Galstanyan supporters for taking part in acts of civil disobedience. The vast majority have since been released, as law enforcement in Armenia can hold detainees without charge for a maximum of just 3 hours. As of last week, 25 protesters had been formally charged with crimes and 10 remained under arrest. In related news, the Armenian Apostolic Church's governing body today confirmed it had accepted an appeal by Galstanyan to suspend his religious service to allow him to enter politics. Archbishop Bagrat will retain his episcopal rank. His ecclesiastical service has been terminated, the Mother See of Holy Echmiadzin said in a press release. The number of people who have died in historic flooding across northern Armenia rose today to 4, according to Ganel Sanosyan, Armenia's infrastructure minister and the head of an emergency task force coordinating the government's disaster response. Rivers in Armenia's Lori and Tavush regions overflowed their banks over the weekend after days of torrential rainstorms, inundating nearby communities and sweeping away bridges and roads. That included sections of 2 key highways, forcing Armenia to close its main border crossing with Georgia and suspend rail service between Yerevan and Tbilisi. At least 429 people have been evacuated so far, as search and rescue workers continue today to comb through the devastation. An estimated 5,500 people remain in villages that have been cut off from the outside world as a result of the flooding, Armenia's worst in decades. Over the weekend, Lori and Tavush received 40 to 60% of the precipitation they normally get in a month, according to figures from Armenia's Environment Ministry, causing rivers in the area to rise to levels unseen in 65 years. The former mayor of Stepanakert, Nagorno-Karabakh's capital and biggest city prior to last year's mass exodus of Armenians, was arrested yesterday, just days after the ex-leaders of 2 of the region's other major towns were also charged with crimes. David Sargsyan was arrested yesterday and charged with embezzlement and falsifying documents, Armenia's investigative authorities announced today. Days earlier, Haik Shamiryan, the former mayor of Askaran, and Misha Gyurgyan, the former mayor of Martakert, were also arrested on charges of embezzlement and falsifying documents. Lawyers for Sargsyan have slammed the charges as politically motivated and absurd, arguing Armenia's authorities have no jurisdiction over matters relating to Nagorno-Karabakh. In recent weeks, all 3 former mayors had taken part in anti-government protests or otherwise expressed their support for them. One Armenian service member was killed yesterday in a car accident during a military drill. In a statement today, Armenia's investigative authorities confirmed they had opened a criminal probe into the incident, which saw Ararat Aroyan fatally wounded when an army vehicle slammed into his parked truck. Aroyan was taken to the hospital, but doctors were unable to save his life. It marks Armenia's latest non-combat army death. According to a tally kept by Armenia's Prosecutor General's office, the majority of deaths in the army last year did not take place in combat. Only 19 of the 54 soldiers lost last year were killed in action. And finally, the CivilNet number of the day is 82. That's the total number of points that Armenia's Punic professional football team finished the season with over the weekend, making them the champions of the Armenian Premier League. Punic will compete later this summer in the UEFA Champions League first qualifying round. And as always, please follow CivilNet for the latest news and independent reporting from our contributors on the ground here in Armenia.